The notification sound from Jenna's phone cut through the silence of our bedroom like a knife. 3 a.m., and she was passed out cold beside me, her breath reeking of wine and whatever expensive perfume she'd started wearing lately. The kind that cost more than my monthly car payment. I shouldn't have looked. Any decent husband would have rolled over and gone back to sleep. But decent husbands don't lie awake at 3 in the morning wondering why their wives come home smelling like another man's cologne. The screen lit up with a text from C. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Tell Alex you're working late again." My stomach dropped like an elevator with cut cables. Alex. That's me. Alexander Denver, 39, the fool who thought his marriage was just going through a rough patch. I picked up her phone with hands that weren't quite steady. No passcode. Jenna had always been careless about security, which made sense now that I thought about it. Hard to remember passwords when you're juggling multiple lives. The message thread with C went back months, hundreds of messages, photos I wish I could unsee, videos that made my chest tight with rage, and something else. Humiliation so deep it felt like drowning. Alex is such a pushover. He actually believes I'm working late every night. Poor guy has no idea his wife is getting what she needs elsewhere. He's so pathetic, always trying to be romantic, brings me flowers like we're still dating. That last one hit different. I'd brought her roses just yesterday. Yellow ones, her favorites, or what I thought were her favorites. Apparently, Clay Hartford, because that's who C turned out to be, knew her real preferences better than I did. Clay Hartford. I knew the name. Real estate developer, drove a BMW M8, lived in one of those glass condos downtown. The kind of guy who wore suits that cost more than most people's rent and treated waiters like servants. I scrolled through more messages, each one a small death. They weren't just having an affair. They were mocking me. My wife and her boyfriend were having a grand time laughing at the stupid husband who worked 50-hour weeks to pay for the house where she planned her betrayal. He asked me if I wanted to renew our vows for our 10th anniversary. I almost choked on my wine. What did you tell him? That I'd think about it. Poor Alex, always living in fantasy land. Our 10th anniversary was next month. I'd already made reservations at Chez Laurent, the French place where we had our first date, booked the same table, even requested the same waiter. I'd been planning it for weeks. The phone buzzed with another message from Clay. "Leave him, Jenna. You deserve better than that loser." Her response came immediately. "Soon. I'm just waiting for the right moment. Need to figure out the finances first. I'll take care of you. You know that." "I know, baby. Just need to be smart about this." Smart. She wanted to be smart about destroying my life. I set the phone back on her nightstand and stared at the ceiling. 10 years of marriage. 10 years of thinking we were building something together. 10 years of being the punchline to a joke I didn't even know was being told. My military training kicked in then, the same cold calculation that got me through 2 tours in Afghanistan. When you're under fire, emotion gets you killed. You assess the situation, identify your resources, and execute a plan. Jenna stirred beside me, mumbling something in her sleep, probably dreaming about Clay and his BMW and his condo with floor-to-ceiling windows. Well, let her dream. She'd be waking up to a nightmare soon enough. I slipped out of bed and went downstairs to my home office. If she wanted to play games, I'd show her how a real strategist operates. But first, I needed intelligence, and I knew exactly who to call. Tom Brewster answered on the second ring, despite the early hour. "Alex, what's wrong?" "I need a favor, Tom. A professional favor." "It's 4 a.m., brother. This better be good." "My wife is cheating on me. I need everything you can find on a guy named Clay Hartford, and I need it fast." Silence on the other end. Tom had been my sergeant in Afghanistan, saved my life twice, and now ran a private investigation business in Albany. If anyone could help me, it was him. "How fast we talking?" 48 hours. "That fast means it's going to cost you. I don't care what it costs." "All right. Clay Hartford, you said I'll start digging. But Alex, whatever you're planning, be smart about it. Don't do anything that'll land you in jail. Don't worry, I'm not going to kill anyone. That's not what I'm worried about. After I hung up, I sat in my office chair and looked around the room. My diplomas on the wall, photos from my army days, the little American flag Jenna had given me when I got back from my second deployment. She'd cried that day, said she was so proud of me, so grateful I was home safe. All lies. Or maybe not lies then, but they sure felt like lies now. I opened my laptop and started making lists. Assets, accounts, shared property, mutual friends, everything that connected Jenna's life to mine. By the time she woke up, I'd have a complete inventory of our marriage, and then I'd start taking it apart, piece by piece. Jenna's alarm went off at 7, same as always. She rolled over and kissed my cheek, same as always. Asked if I wanted coffee, same as always. The only difference was that now I knew it was all performance art. "You're up early," she said, noticing my laptop open on the kitchen counter. "Couldn't sleep. Work stuff." She nodded, already distracted by her phone. Checking messages from Clay, probably. Planning their day while pretending to care about mine. "I'll be late tonight," she said, not looking at me. "Big presentation tomorrow." "Of course you will." Something in my tone made her glance up. "Is everything okay?" "Everything's fine, Jenna. Just tired." She studied my face for a moment, then shrugged and went back to her phone. 10 years of marriage, and she couldn't even tell when her husband was falling apart. Or maybe she could tell and just didn't care. After she left for work, I called in sick and got to business. First stop, our bank. I withdrew half of everything from our joint accounts, my legal right as a co-owner, and opened a new account in my name only. Jenna would discover the missing money when she tried to use her card, probably sometime this afternoon. Next, the storage facility on Route 9. I rented the biggest unit they had and paid for 6 months in advance. Cash. Then I went home and started packing. Not everything. That would tip her off too early. But the important stuff. My clothes, my books, my tools, the photo albums from before we met. The expensive electronics we'd bought together, the wedding china her mother gave us, even the stupid ceramic cat collection she loved so much. Each box I packed felt like shedding skin, 10 years of accumulated life, reduced to cardboard containers and packing tape. My phone rang while I was wrapping the good dishes. Tom. "I've got preliminary information on your boy Clay," he said without preamble. That was fast. Guy's not exactly subtle. Runs Hartford Development, inherited the business from his old man, lives in Riverfront Tower, Unit 2401, drives a blue BMW M8, license plate Hart FRD1. Classy. Gets better. He's got a reputation around town. This isn't his first rodeo with married women. Word is, he's got a thing for wives of blue-collar guys. Makes him feel superior or something. The rage that had been simmering all morning flared white-hot. What else? Financial stuff will take longer, but I can tell you he's leveraged to the gills. Big debts, bigger ego. The kind of guy who looks rich but is actually drowning. Perfect. Alex, I'm serious about being careful. This guy's got connections, lawyers, money. Don't give him ammunition to use against you. I won't. Thanks, Tom. I hung up and continued packing. By noon, I'd filled 23 boxes and loaded them into my truck. 3 trips to the storage unit, and our house looked like we'd been robbed. Which, in a way, we had been. Jenna had robbed me of 10 years. Now I was just evening the score. My phone buzzed with a text from her. "Forgot my laptop charger. Can you bring it to the office?" I looked at the laptop in question, sitting on the kitchen counter where she'd left it. Still logged in, still connected to our home Wi-Fi, still full of secrets. Sure thing. Be there in an hour. But first I had some reading to do. Her email was a goldmine. Not just messages from Clay, but conversations with her sister about divorce lawyers, plans to take me for everything I was worth, complaints about my job, my friends, my hobbies, my family, 10 years of marriage, and apparently she'd hated every minute of it. The worst part wasn't the cheating, it was the contempt, the casual cruelty of someone who decided I wasn't worth basic human respect. I copied everything to a flash drive, then deleted the copies from her laptop. Let her wonder how much I knew. The advertising agency where Jenna worked occupied 3 floors of a glass building downtown. I'd been there dozens of times for company parties, holiday events, anniversary celebrations. Everyone knew me as Jenna's husband, the quiet guy who worked in IT and didn't say much at parties. That was about to change. I found Jenna in her office, door closed, talking on the phone. Through the glass wall, I could see her laughing at something the caller said, probably Clay. I knocked and entered without waiting for permission. "I have to go," she said into the phone, hanging up quickly. "Thanks for bringing this." "No problem." I set the charger on her desk and looked around the office. Photos of us at various events, all smiles and fake happiness. Nice pictures. "Alex, are you sure you're okay? You're acting strange. Just thinking about our anniversary next month. 10 years. That's something, isn't it?" Her face went pale. "Yeah, it is. I was thinking we should do something special, really celebrate what we've built together. That sounds nice. I already made reservations at Chez Laurent, same table where we had our first date. I thought we could talk about renewing our vows." She looked like she was going to be sick. "Alex, I know what you're going to say. It's expensive, right? Don't worry about money. I've been saving up. We can afford it." That last part was true, in a way. I had been saving up, just not for what she thought. "I should get back to work," she said. "Of course. Don't work too late." I left her sitting there, staring at the photos on her desk like they were evidence at a crime scene, which, I suppose, they were. My phone rang as I was walking to my truck. Jenna. "Alex, I tried to get coffee and my card was declined." "That's weird. Did you call the bank?" They said half our money is gone." "Gone? That doesn't make sense. Let me check our account." I made a show of logging into the banking app. "Oh, that's strange. It shows a withdrawal this morning. Large one." "A withdrawal? By who?" "Doesn't say. We should go to the bank together tonight, figure this out." "I can't tonight. I have that presentation to finish." "Right. Your presentation." Silence on the line. I could practically hear her brain working, trying to figure out what was happening. "Alex, is there something you want to tell me?" "Like what?" "I don't know. You're acting different. Maybe I'm just tired of being taken for granted." I hung up before she could respond. Phase 1 complete. Now she knew something was wrong, but not what. Not yet. I drove home to finish packing. By the time Jenna got home that night, actually home, not working late, our house looked like a crime scene. Empty picture frames, bare shelves, missing furniture. I'd left the essentials: 1 couch, 1 TV, basic kitchen stuff, our bed. Everything else was in storage or loaded in my truck. She stood in the doorway of our living room, keys still in her hand, staring at the empty spaces where our life used to be. "What did you do?" I was sitting on the remaining couch, drinking a beer and watching the news. "Spring cleaning." "Alex, where is everything?" "Safe." She dropped her purse and walked closer. In the harsh overhead light, I could see the stress lines around her eyes, the way her hands shook slightly. Good. Let her feel what uncertainty was like. This is insane. You can't just take our stuff. Our stuff? I thought it was my stuff too. That's what marriage means, right? Shared property? You know what I mean. Actually, I don't think I do. Why don't you explain it to me? She sat down on the opposite end of the couch, as far from me as possible. Are you having some kind of breakdown? No breakdown. Just clarity. Clarity about what? I turned off the TV and looked at her directly for the first time in months. Really looked at her. The woman I'd married was still there, somewhere under the guilt and fear and expensive makeup. But she felt like a stranger now. I know, Jenna. Know what? Everything. The color drained from her face. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. I don't know what you think you know, but Clay Hartford, Riverfront Tower, Unit 2401, blue BMW with vanity plates. Should I go on? She started crying then. Not the pretty tears from movies, but ugly, desperate sobs that shook her whole body. Part of me wanted to comfort her, 10 years of habit demanding I reach out and hold her, but a bigger part of me just watched, cataloging her breakdown like data to be analyzed. How long have you known? Does it matter? Alex, please, let me explain. Explain what? That you've been cheating on me for months? That you and your boyfriend laugh about what a pathetic loser I am? That you're planning to divorce me and take everything I've worked for? It's not like that. Then what is it like? She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, smearing mascara across her cheek. I was going to tell you. When? On our 10th anniversary? After you renewed vows you had no intention of keeping? I never said I'd renew our vows. You never said you wouldn't. We sat in silence for a long moment. The house felt enormous and empty around us, full of echoes and missing pieces. What do you want? She finally asked. I want you to leave. This is my house too. Not anymore. I pulled out a manila envelope and set it on the coffee table between us. Divorce papers. I filed this morning. You have 30 days to respond. She stared at the envelope like it might bite her. Alex, we can work this out. We can go to counseling. We can't do anything. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine. What about the house? Our savings? My retirement account? What about them? You can't just take everything. I'm not taking everything. I'm taking what's mine. Half of everything is mine. Then you should have thought about that before you decided to throw our marriage away for a real estate developer with a fancy car. She stood up abruptly, pacing to the window and back. This is crazy. You're being crazy. Crazy would be pretending nothing happened. Crazy would be letting you keep lying to my face while you plan your exit strategy. I wasn't planning an exit strategy. Really? Because your email says otherwise. Her face went white again. You went through my email? You left your laptop open. With your permission settings, everything synced to the home network. Basic IT security, Jenna. I thought you'd learned something after 10 years of being married to a tech guy. You had no right. I had every right. It's my network, my Wi-Fi, my house. Well, it was my house. What do you mean, was? I smiled for the first time in days. It felt strange, like using muscles I'd forgotten I had. I put the house on the market this afternoon. We should have offers by the weekend. You can't sell our house without my permission. Actually, I can. Check the deed. My name, my signature, my down payment. Turns out keeping you off the paperwork for tax reasons was smarter than I thought. That wasn't entirely true. Her name was on the deed, but as a secondary owner. I could force a sale through the courts, and we both knew it. She sank back onto the couch, looking defeated. Where am I supposed to go? I hear Clay has a nice place downtown, floor-to-ceiling windows, great view of the river. Alex, please. Please what? Please pretend this never happened? Please let you keep humiliating me while you figure out your next move? Please make this easy for you? Please don't destroy everything we built together. We didn't build anything together, Jenna. I built a life, and you lived in it while you shopped for something better. My phone buzzed with a text. Tom. Got more info on Hartford. Call me. I stood up and grabbed my jacket. I'm going out. When I get back, I want you gone. Gone where? Not my problem anymore. I left her sitting on our couch in our empty house, crying over the ruins of a marriage she'd already decided to end. The only difference was that now I was ending it first. Tom was waiting for me at Mickey's bar, a dive on the south side where the beer was cheap and the lighting was dim enough to hide secrets. He looked the same as always, gray beard, flannel shirt, eyes that missed nothing. "You look like hell," he said when I sat down. "Feel worse." He slid a manila folder across the table. "Everything you wanted to know about Clay Hartford and probably some stuff you didn't." I opened the folder and started reading. Financial records, credit reports, business filings, even parking tickets. Tom was thorough. "Guy's in deep," Tom said. "Owes money to half the banks in Albany, plus some private lenders who don't take late payments well." "How deep?" "Deep enough that he needs your wife's divorce settlement to stay afloat." That stopped me cold. "What?" "Think about it. Guy's got expensive tastes, expensive habits, expensive debts. Along comes a married woman with a steady job and half a house and a retirement account. Suddenly his financial problems don't look so bad." "You're saying he's using her." "I'm saying he's using her the same way she's using you. Difference is, she doesn't know it yet." I kept reading. Clay Hartford wasn't just broke. He was spectacularly broke. The BMW was leased, the condo was mortgaged to the hilt, and his business was 3 months behind on loan payments. "There's more," Tom said. "Guy's got a pattern. 3 other married women in the past 5 years all ended the same way. He romances them, convinces them to leave their husbands, helps them through messy divorces, then disappears once the settlement money runs out. Bastard. Gets better. Wife number 2 killed herself after he cleaned out her bank account. Wife number 3 is working 2 jobs to pay off the debts he left her with." I closed the folder and took a long drink of beer. "Can you prove any of this?" "Some of it. Enough to make trouble for him if you want to go that route." "What kind of trouble?" Tom smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. "The kind that involves the IRS asking questions about unreported income. The kind that involves his creditors getting anonymous tips about hidden assets. The kind that makes his life very complicated very quickly. Do it. You sure? Once this starts, there's no taking it back." "I'm sure." Tom nodded and finished his beer. "What about your wife? What about her? You want me to dig into her finances too? See if she's been hiding anything?" I thought about it. Part of me wanted to know everything, wanted to catalog every lie and betrayal, but a bigger part of me just wanted it to be over. "No, she's not worth the effort." "Fair enough." Tom stood up and dropped money on the table. "I'll get started on Hartford tomorrow. Should have results by the end of the week." "Thanks, Tom." "Don't thank me yet. This kind of thing can get messy fast." "It's already messy." "Yeah, but now it's about to get interesting." After Tom left, I sat alone at the bar and thought about the folder in front of me. Clay Hartford, real estate developer and professional home wrecker, was about to learn what it felt like to have his life dismantled by someone who knew how to plan ahead. And Jenna was about to learn that the quiet, boring husband she'd been so eager to leave behind wasn't quite as harmless as she'd thought. I finished my beer and headed home to see if she'd followed my advice about leaving. Something told me she hadn't. I was right. Jenna's car was still in the driveway when I got home, but the house was dark. I found her in our bedroom, packing a suitcase with shaking hands. She'd been crying again. Her eyes were red and puffy, and there were tissues scattered on the bed. Decided to take my advice after all? She looked up but didn't stop packing. "I'm staying at my sister's tonight." "Just tonight?" "I don't know. Until we figure this out." "There's nothing to figure out, Jenna. It's over." She folded a sweater with unnecessary care, like the precision of the task could somehow bring order to the chaos of her life. 10 years, Alex. Doesn't that mean anything to you? It meant everything to me, past tense. People make mistakes. People can change. Some mistakes are too big to come back from. She zipped the suitcase closed and sat on the edge of the bed. What if I ended it with Clay? What if I cut all contact, blocked his number, never saw him again? Would you? If it meant saving our marriage, yes. I almost believed her. There was something in her voice, a desperation that might have been genuine. But then I remembered the emails, the photos, the casual cruelty of her messages about me. It's too late for that. It's not too late. It's never too late if both people want to try. But both people don't want to try. You wanted out, Jenna. You just wanted to control the timing. She picked up her suitcase and walked toward the door, then stopped. I loved you, Alex. I still love you. No, you don't. You love the idea of me, the security, the stability, the safety net. But you don't love me. That's not true. When's my birthday? The question caught her off guard. What? My birthday, when is it? March 15th. March 22nd, what's my favorite movie? Alex, this is ridiculous. What's my favorite movie, Jenna? I don't know, some war thing. The Princess Bride. We watched it on our third date. You said it was your favorite too. I remember that. What's my middle name? Silence. It's James, after my grandfather, the one who raised me after my parents died. You met him twice before he passed away. I remember your grandfather. What was his name? More silence. You don't love me, Jenna. You love the convenience of me. There's a difference. She left without another word. I heard her car start, heard her drive away, heard the silence that followed. For the first time in months, I was alone in my own house. I should have felt relieved. Instead, I felt empty. My phone rang at 2 a.m. Clay Hartford. We need to talk. Do we? Meet me tomorrow, noon, Murphy's Diner on Western Avenue. Why would I do that? Because if you don't, I'll make this very difficult for everyone involved. Difficult how? Jenna's fragile right now, confused. She might do something stupid if she gets pushed too hard. The threat was subtle, but clear. Are you threatening my wife? I'm trying to help her, and you, if you'll let me. Help me how? By making this divorce as clean as possible. No lawyers, no fighting, no public mess, just two adults handling their business like civilized people. Civilized people don't steal other men's wives. Nobody stole anybody. Jenna made a choice. Yeah, she did, and now I'm making mine. Noon tomorrow, Murphy's Diner. Don't make me ask twice. He hung up before I could respond. I sat in the dark for a long time thinking about Clay Hartford and his threats and his financial problems. Tom's folder was still on the kitchen counter, full of ammunition I could use to destroy the man who'd destroyed my marriage. But first, I wanted to look him in the eye. Murphy's Diner was the kind of place where truckers ate breakfast at midnight and the coffee could strip paint. Clay Hartford looked as out of place as a diamond ring in a tackle box, sitting in a corner booth wearing a suit that probably cost more than most people made in a month. He was younger than I'd expected, maybe 35, with the kind of tan that came from golf courses and Caribbean vacations. Handsome in an obvious way, like a male model in a cologne ad. The kind of guy who'd never worked with his hands or worried about making rent. Alex Denver, I presume. Clay Hartford, I know. He gestured to the seat across from him. Sit. Let's talk like adults. I'm comfortable standing. Suit yourself. He sipped his coffee and made a face. God, this stuff is awful. How do people drink it? Practice. Look, Alex, I know this is awkward, but we're both reasonable men. We can work this out. Work what out? The divorce. The property division. Jenna's future. Jenna's future isn't your concern. Actually, it is. See, she's going to be my wife soon. That makes her welfare very much my concern. The casual arrogance of it hit me like a slap. She's still married to me. Technically, yes, but we both know that's just paperwork at this point. Do we? Come on, Alex, be realistic. Your marriage has been over for months. Jenna just didn't know how to tell you. So you helped her figure it out. I helped her find the courage to admit what she already knew. I slid into the booth across from him, close enough to see the pores in his artificially tanned skin. Tell me something, Clay. What's your endgame here? Endgame? With Jenna. What's your plan? Marriage, kids, white picket fence? Something like that. And you think she's worth it? Worth breaking up a 10-year marriage? I think she deserves better than what she had. Better than what? Better than a boring IT guy who brings home 40 grand a year and thinks Olive Garden is fine dining. The insult was designed to sting, and it did. But it also told me everything I needed to know about Clay Hartford. He was the kind of man who measured worth in dollars and status symbols, who couldn't imagine that a woman might value loyalty over luxury. You know what I think, Clay? I'm sure you're going to tell me. I think you're full of shit. His smile faltered slightly. Excuse me? I think you're a broke real estate developer who needs my wife's divorce settlement to pay off his debts. I think you're running a con, and she's just your latest mark. That's ridiculous. Is it? Because I've done some research on you. Hartford Development is 3 months behind on loan payments. Your condo is mortgaged to the hilt. That fancy BMW is leased, and you're 2 payments behind. The color drained from his face. You don't know what you're talking about. I know exactly what I'm talking about. I also know about the other women. The other married women you've romanced and discarded after cleaning out their bank accounts. You're fishing. Am I? What was her name, Clay? The one who killed herself after you disappeared with her money? He stood up abruptly, knocking over his coffee cup. The brown liquid spread across the table like a stain. This conversation is over. Sit down. Go to hell! Sit down, or I'll make sure everyone in this town knows exactly what kind of man you are. He sat. Here's what's going to happen, I said, leaning forward. You're going to leave my wife alone. You're going to delete her number, block her calls, and pretend she never existed. And if I don't, then I'll destroy you. You? You're nobody. You're a middle-aged IT guy with a failed marriage and a drinking problem. Maybe. But I'm a middle-aged IT guy with friends in the right places. Friends who can make your life very complicated, very quickly. You're bluffing. I pulled out my phone and showed him a photo Tom had sent me that morning. Clay's BMW sitting on cinder blocks in the parking lot of his condo building, all 4 wheels missing. Am I? His face went white. You bastard? That's just the beginning. Keep messing with my wife, and I'll show you what the end looks like. I stood up and dropped a $5 bill on the table. Have a nice day, Clay, and remember, I know where you live. I was halfway to my truck when he caught up with me in the parking lot. This isn't over. Yes, it is. Jenna loves me. She's not going back to you. Maybe not, but she's not going forward with you either. He grabbed my arm, spinning me around. Listen to me, you pathetic. I hit him. Not hard, just a quick jab to the solar plexus that doubled him over and left him gasping in the parking lot of Murphy's Diner. 10 years of marriage to a cheating wife, and all my rage came down to that one punch. Stay away from my wife, I said, and stay away from me. I drove home feeling better than I had in weeks. Phase 2 was complete. Clay Hartford now knew he was in a fight, and that his opponent wasn't the pushover he'd expected. But the real battle was just beginning. The call from Jenna's sister came at 6 a.m., 3 days after my parking lot encounter with Clay. Alex, it's Sarah. We need to talk. Sarah Mitchell had never liked me much. She thought her sister had married beneath her station, settling for a blue-collar guy when she could have had a lawyer or a doctor. The fact that she was calling me now meant something had gone seriously wrong. What's the matter, Sarah? It's Jenna. She's not doing well. Not doing well how? She won't eat, won't sleep, won't stop crying. She keeps saying you're trying to destroy her life. I'm trying to divorce her. There's a difference. Alex, please. Whatever's happening between you two, she doesn't deserve this. Doesn't deserve what? Clay won't return her calls. He changed his phone number, blocked her on social media. She went to his office yesterday and security escorted her out. I almost smiled. Tom's pressure campaign was working faster than expected. That sounds like a Clay problem, not an Alex problem. She says you threatened him. I had a conversation with him. What he took from it is his business. Alex, I'm worried about her. Really worried. She's talking about hurting herself. That stopped me cold. Whatever Jenna had done to our marriage, I didn't want her dead. Hurting herself how? I don't know. But she's not thinking clearly. She keeps saying her life is over, that everyone in town knows about the affair, that she can't show her face anywhere. Everyone in town does know about the affair. How? Good question. I hadn't told anyone except Tom, and he was a professional. But in a town this size, secrets had a way of spreading like wildfire. Word gets around, Sarah, especially when people are careless about hiding things. She made a mistake, Alex. One mistake. Does that really justify ruining her entire life? She made a choice. Multiple choices, over multiple months. Now she gets to live with the consequences. You're being cruel. I'm being realistic. What do you want from her? What would it take for you to back off? I thought about that. What did I want? Revenge? Justice? An apology? All of the above? I want her to sign the divorce papers without a fight. I want her to take her share of the assets and disappear. I want her to leave me alone. And if she does that, you'll leave her alone? I'll leave her alone regardless. This was never about punishing Jenna, Sarah. It was about protecting myself. By destroying Clay. By removing him as a factor in my life. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. She really loved him, you know. No, she didn't. She loved what she thought he represented. Money, status, excitement. She never knew him well enough to love him. How can you be so sure? Because I know Clay Hartford. And if she'd known him half as well as she thought she did, she never would have gotten involved with him in the first place. After I hung up, I sat in my empty house and thought about Jenna crying in her sister's guest room, mourning a relationship that had been a lie from the beginning. Part of me felt sorry for her. A bigger part of me felt nothing at all. My phone buzzed with a text from Tom. Hartford's in full panic mode, trying to liquidate assets, settle debts. Word is he's leaving town by the weekend. Good. Let him run. Let him find some other city, some other woman, some other marriage to destroy, as long as he stayed away from mine. But Jenna was a different problem, a loose end that needed to be tied off cleanly. I drove to Sarah's house that afternoon, a modest colonial in the suburbs where respectable people lived respectable lives. Jenna's car was in the driveway, looking small and vulnerable next to Sarah's SUV. Sarah answered the door with the expression of someone expecting bad news. "She's upstairs," she said without preamble. "Second door on the right. Alex, please be kind." I found Jenna in Sarah's guest room, sitting by the window in an old bathrobe, staring out at the backyard like she was watching her future disappear. She looked terrible, pale, thin, hollow-eyed, like someone recovering from a long illness. "Hello, Jenna." She turned, and for a moment I saw the woman I'd married 10 years ago. Young, hopeful, full of dreams about the life we'd build together. Then the moment passed, and she was just a stranger again. "Alex, Sarah said you might come. She's worried about you." "Are you? Should I be?" She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Clay's gone." "I know." "Did you know he was using me?" "I suspected." "He never loved me. It was all about the money, the divorce settlement, the house, my retirement account. He had it all figured out." "I'm sorry. Are you? Really?" I sat down in the chair across from her. "I'm sorry you got hurt. I'm not sorry our marriage is over." "Fair enough. She wiped her eyes with a tissue. I signed the papers. What papers? The divorce papers. Sarah drove me to a lawyer yesterday. I signed them, agreed to your terms. No contest, no fight, no lawyers. That surprised me. I'd expected her to drag the process out, to make it as difficult and expensive as possible. Why? Because you were right, about everything, about Clay, about me, about our marriage. I threw away 10 years for a fantasy. Jenna? Let me finish, please. She took a shaky breath. I know I can't undo what I did. I know you'll never forgive me, and I don't blame you. But I want you to know that I'm sorry. Not sorry I got caught, sorry for what I did, sorry for the person I became. Okay. I'm leaving town. There's a job in Portland, Oregon, marketing coordinator for a nonprofit. It doesn't pay much, but it's a fresh start. When? Next week, as soon as the paperwork is finalized. We sat in silence for a while, two people who'd once promised to love each other forever, now strangers planning their separate futures. Alex? Yeah? Were we ever happy? Really happy? I thought about it. Yeah, we were, for a while. I loved you. Maybe not the way you deserved, but I did love you. I know. Do you think you could ever forgive me? Not now, but someday? I don't know, Jenna. Maybe. Someday. She nodded and turned back to the window. I hope you find someone who loves you the right way. You deserve that. So do you. No, I don't. But maybe I'll learn how to deserve it. I left her there, staring out at Sarah's backyard, planning her escape from the wreckage of her old life. It wasn't the dramatic confrontation I'd imagined, no screaming or accusations or final revelations, just two broken people acknowledging that their story was over. But Clay Hartford's story wasn't over yet. He'd destroyed my marriage, used my wife, and threatened me in a diner parking lot. And he thought he could just disappear without consequences. He was wrong about that. Tom found me at Mickey's bar on Friday night, nursing a beer and watching the game. The place was crowded with the usual mix of construction workers, retirees, and people who had nowhere else to go. Heard from a reliable source that Hartford's skipping town tomorrow, he said, sliding into the booth across from me. Good riddance. Thought you'd want to know. He's been liquidating everything he can get his hands on. Sold his BMW to a dealer in Schenectady, cleaned out what was left of his bank accounts, even hawked his watch collection. Running scared. More like running broke. My IRS contact says they're opening a full audit. Turns out Hartford's been creative with his tax reporting for years. How creative? The kind of creative that comes with federal penalties and possible jail time. I took a sip of beer and thought about that. Clay Hartford, real estate developer and professional home wrecker, brought down by his own greed and sloppy bookkeeping. There was a certain poetic justice to it. What about the other stuff, the creditors, the business loans? Calling in their markers. Hartford Development will be in bankruptcy by Monday. The condo's already in foreclosure. And the other women? The ones he scammed before? Tom smiled grimly. Funny thing about that. Seems like they all got anonymous tips about where to find him. Last I heard, there were 3 separate civil suits being filed. You've been busy, just connecting dots. Amazing how much trouble a man can get into when people start paying attention to his business. We drank in comfortable silence for a while, watching the game and listening to the bar's familiar sounds, clinking glasses, muted conversations, the occasional burst of laughter from the pool table. What about you? Tom asked eventually. What's next? Portland. Oregon? No, Maine. Got a job offer from a tech company there. Senior systems analyst, good pay, fresh start. When do you leave? 2 weeks, soon as the house sells and the divorce is final. Running away? Moving on. There's a difference. Tom nodded. Yeah, there is. You going to be okay? Eventually. For what it's worth, I think you handled this right. Could have gone ugly, could have gotten messy. Instead, You kept it clean and legal. Clean and legal doesn't always feel like enough. No, but it's something you can live with. That matters more than you think. After Tom left, I sat alone in the bar and thought about the past few weeks. 3 weeks ago, I'd been a married man with a cheating wife and no idea how bad things really were. Now I was divorced, unemployed by choice, and planning a new life in a new state. It should have felt like victory. Instead, it just felt like survival. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This isn't over. Clay. Even running scared, he couldn't resist one last threat. I typed back, "Yes, it is. Don't make me prove it." No response. I finished my beer and drove home to my empty house. The for sale sign in the front yard had a sold banner across it. The house had sold in 2 days to a young couple with a baby on the way. They were excited about starting their new life in the suburbs, full of dreams about the future they'd build together. I hoped they'd be smarter than Jenna and I had been. I hoped they'd remember that marriage was a choice you made every day, not just once at an altar. The next morning, I was packing the last of my belongings when I heard a car in the driveway. Through the window, I saw a blue BMW. Not Clay's old one, but a newer model, probably a rental. Clay Hartford got out of the driver's seat, looking like a man who'd aged 10 years in 2 weeks. His expensive suit was wrinkled, his tan had faded, and his eyes had the hollow look of someone who'd lost everything and didn't know how to process it. I met him at the front door. "Brave of you to come here. I wanted to talk to you, man to man." We talked, at Murphy's Diner. You didn't seem interested in what I had to say. That was before. Before what? Before you destroyed my life. I almost laughed. I destroyed your life? You destroyed my marriage. Your marriage was already over. Jenna told you what you wanted to hear. Just like you told her what she wanted to hear. The difference is, I never lied to anyone. You had me investigated. You ruined my business, destroyed my credit, got me audited by the IRS. I had you investigated, yes. The rest of it was just your own chickens coming home to roost. I'm ruined, Alex. Completely ruined. I've lost everything. Good. Good. Jesus Christ, what kind of man are you? The kind who doesn't like being threatened in parking lots. Clay stepped closer, and I could smell the desperation on him. Stale sweat, cheap cologne, the sour breath of a man who'd been drinking too much and sleeping too little. "I could kill you," he said quietly. "Right here, right now. No one would blame me." "You could try." "You think this is funny?" "I think you're pathetic. A week ago, you were threatening me over coffee, telling me how you were going to marry my wife and live happily ever after. Now you're standing in my driveway making death threats because your con game fell apart." "It wasn't a con game. I loved her." "No, you didn't. You loved her bank account. You loved the idea of her divorce settlement. You loved having power over another man's wife. But you never loved Jenna. You don't know anything about it." "I know everything about it. I know about the other women, the other marriages you destroyed. I know about the debts, the lies, the whole sordid pattern. You're not a romantic figure, Clay, you're a predator." "And what are you? A saint?" "No, I'm just a man who got tired of being played for a fool." Clay stared at me for a long moment, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. For a second, I thought he might actually try to hit me. Instead, he deflated like a punctured balloon. "She won't even talk to me," he said quietly. "Jenna. She blocked my number, won't answer my emails. It's like I never existed. Welcome to my world. I really did love her. Maybe you thought you did. But love doesn't treat people like assets to be acquired. What am I supposed to do now? Learn from your mistakes. Find an honest job. Stop destroying other people's lives for your own entertainment. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple." Clay walked back to his rental car, moving like a man carrying an enormous weight. At the driver's door, he turned back. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry. About your marriage, about the threats, about all of it. Apology accepted. Really? Really. But if I ever see you in this town again, if you ever contact Jenna again, if you ever come near anyone I care about again, I'll finish what I started. Are we clear? We're clear. He drove away without looking back. I stood in my driveway for a long time after he left, thinking about revenge and justice and the difference between the two. Clay Hartford had gotten what he deserved, but it didn't bring back my marriage or erase the pain of betrayal. It just closed a chapter that needed to be closed. 2 weeks later, I loaded the last of my belongings into a U-Haul and drove away from the house where I'd thought I'd spend the rest of my life. The new owners were moving in that afternoon, ready to start their own story in the place where mine had ended. Portland, Maine, was everything upstate New York wasn't. Coastal, clean, full of possibilities. My new job was challenging, my new apartment had a view of the harbor, and my new life felt like it actually belonged to me. I never heard from Jenna again. Sarah sent me a Christmas card that first year, mentioning that her sister was doing well in Oregon, working for the nonprofit and dating a social worker. I was glad she'd found someone who might appreciate her better than Clay or I ever had. Tom visited once, bringing news from home. Clay Hartford had declared bankruptcy and moved to Florida, where he was working as a used car salesman. The IRS had settled for back taxes and penalties, no jail time. The other women had gotten modest settlements from what was left of his assets. Think he learned his lesson? Tom asked. Probably not. But that's not my problem anymore. Any regrets? I thought about it. About the marriage? Yeah. About how I handled the divorce? No. Good man. 3 years later, I married a woman named Rebecca who worked at the Portland Museum of Art. She knew my story, all of it, and loved me anyway. We had a small wedding on the coast, just family and close friends. Tom was my best man. I never told Rebecca about the specific details of my revenge against Clay Hartford. Some stories are better left in the past, but sometimes when I read news stories about con artists and predators getting their comeuppance, I smile and remember that justice doesn't always come from courtrooms and judges. Sometimes it comes from ordinary people who refuse to be victims. Sometimes it comes from knowing when to fight back. And sometimes, if you're very careful and very patient, it comes from watching your enemies destroy themselves with their own greed and stupidity. Clay Hartford thought he was playing chess with a man who didn't know the rules. He was wrong. I knew the rules perfectly well. I just played by different ones.